Hey guys, it's Nick Riccio from Fairway. Wanted to talk quickly about house hacking, what it is, and I also wanted to give you a few steps if you are looking to get started with house hacking. So I wanted to give a couple tips. I'm going to talk a little bit about my background and my experience with house hacking, but first I want to talk about what it is for those who don't know. So the idea of house hacking is getting into a property with the end goal of reducing your living expenses. So it can be done a couple ways. One would be purchasing a single family home, moving into that home, and if it has multiple bedrooms, you rent out the extra bedrooms that you don't need. So you can fill those extra bedrooms with tenants, and the rent that they would pay you would offset your mortgage costs. The second option for a house hack would be a multifamily house hack. So this would be the idea of purchasing a 2 to 4 family, moving into one of the units, and renting the other unit with tenants. Now, this is a great solution for our area of Boston or any other high cost of living area where rent is really high. Getting into a home to purchase, those costs are really high. And it's a great way to cover your living expenses or significantly reduce them so you can continue to save your money or spend it on other things that you want to and not have to spend all your money on your mortgage or your rent payment. A little bit about my background. So I've been house hacking since about 2017. I purchased a condo. About 8 months later, I purchased a 2-family home that I turned into a 3-family home. And then I recently purchased another 2-family home that I moved into. All of these units are now rented. So there's 6 units, 5 of them are rented. I occupy one of them. And what this has allowed me to do is now properties that I've moved out of, those are generating income and they're paying me each month. And the home that I'm living in currently is a 2-family house that I live in one unit and the other unit more than pays for my mortgage and expenses. Simple way to look at it is I'm getting paid to live in this house. Now, I know most will say that sounds great, but it's not that easy, and I agree, it's not easy. So it is something that takes time and preparation, a lot of budgeting, but it is possible, and it just takes some concerted effort to get towards that goal. So I'm going to give 3 tips that I think will help you get towards your goal of house hacking. The first being create and stick to a budget. So a lot of people make a budget every month, or they make one each January 1st and then it gets thrown in the trash and they never look at it again. To be successful, you need to create this budget, look at what's coming in each month, what's going out, and find ways to lower those expenses. The budget is going to be your biggest tool to success. If you can start saving money, it's going to allow you to save extra money and grow your savings for a down payment to get into your first house hack. If anyone needs a sample budget or wants to talk through a budget, I'd be happy to help. We do a budget every month. We set it at the beginning of the month. We look at it at the end of the month and see where our spending is off, and we try to keep it in track. What I do know is anything you track, whether it be workouts, your nutrition, what you're eating, or with a budget, if you're tracking it, you're gonna make some improvements. So please let me know if you need any help with setting and creating a budget. Number 2 would be to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read this book almost at least once a year. It's changed my life forever, and I tell everyone to read it. So once you're done with this video, Google the book, get a copy, and if you need a copy, I can send it to you. I think it's that important and that helpful. The third tip is to start getting comfortable analyzing properties. And what I mean by that is get comfortable with a neighborhood, find out what the costs are to get into that neighborhood. So what are properties that you're looking to get into? What are they selling for? Also, what is the rent that goes with those properties? So you also want to get comfortable looking at what are the rentals going for in that market, so you can get an idea of what a down payment would cost, what a mortgage would cost, and then how much rent would that property bring in while you're renting it. Now, the other things that a lot of times people don't calculate is the expenses that come with not only just owning a home, but also in an investment. So you want to make sure you're calculating any vacancy costs. So the unit's probably not always going to be occupied, so you need to factor that in. You also want to factor in expenses. So there's things that are going to come up. There's tons of things that come up all the time. And as long as you're factoring those expenses into your numbers, then the property will still make sense to you. Now, for those that aren't comfortable analyzing properties, that's totally fine. There's ways you can look it up online, or again, I'm happy to help you run through a property at a very high level so you can get a sense for what makes a profitable property, what makes a good house hack. So I'm happy to help if you have any questions at all. So those are my 3 tips. There's certainly more to it, but I think that's enough to get started. If there's any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. I love helping. I love talking about this stuff. So please get in touch with me if you have any questions at all.